Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. Hello, friends. Today we're talking about the foundation pieces needed for a six and multi-six figure business. And this is going to be all wrapped around your brand. And the reason being is because I've been now in the industry for 9 years and there have been tons of changes. I've been a service provider, I've been an agency owner, I've been a coach, and I've done all three businesses over the last 9 years. And as even a coach, which I've been now for 5 years, which is crazy, there have been so many changes in the online industry. Like, what makes it work, right? Like, what makes you get sales? How do you get sales? How do you become the go-to? How do you become the person that gets hired on demand or on repeat? And we have now gotten more further into this world where building a brand is just non-negotiable. This is ultimately what will differentiate you from those who are booked out and then those who aren't. And so today I'm going to talk a lot about what that looks like and break it down and the changes of what I've seen and what I've even experienced over the last few years. And honestly, if you are not willing to change, make changes, if you're not willing to quote unquote keep up with the times, essentially, sometimes this can result in loss in your business. This can result in this weird fluctuation of maybe not signing clients or just feeling like a sense of behindness. For me, I was having a really hard time changing and adapting over the last 2 years. And I was trying to do what I've always done and what always had worked for me. And unfortunately, that just doesn't work. It has to be a mix of what got you here is not going to get you there, because what does get you to six figures does not get you to multi six figures. That I've learned the hard way. And also, you have to be able to keep up with the trends of the industry. And this is odd coming from my mouth because I've always been the person that's like, don't follow trends and build based on sustainability. And last year, I think I got a full lesson in both, and that it has to be a mix of both. And while it's really important to build something sustainable on a foundation, a solid ground, it's also important that we do keep in mind what is actually trending for the industry as a whole. Now, when I say trending, don't get confused. I'm not saying like you should be dancing on the internet. That's just probably not something I'll ever do. I guess I shouldn't say never. But my point is doing what's trending for a week or two based on a popular sound on social media and doing what is trending overall, meaning why are people buying and why aren't people buying, are two completely separate categories. And so we're going to break that down today. But before we do, I'm hosting a live 2-day free masterclass next week on Monday and Tuesday. This masterclass is called Booked Out Brand, and I'm going to help you create a booked out brand. I'm going to help you step more into your authority energy. Now, I want to be very clear that my workshops are always jam-packed with information. They are always very direct, to the point, no BS. I am always teaching these as if I'm coaching real clients. And so, because of that, I ask that if you're not ready to overcome your shit, if you're not ready to overcome your shit, your mind drama, if you are not ready to do the work, if you're not ready to show up live, if you're not ready to actually consume and implement this information, I ask that you don't come. And I know, I know that's very direct. But the reason I say this is because honestly, it is such a waste of your time as well as my time, but mostly your time, to show up or to sign up for a 2-day event and convince yourself you're going to be there and either go and then do nothing with it, or worse, it sits in your inbox, you don't go, you say you'll listen to the replays, you kind of do, but you don't really do it, and then nothing happens. But the reason you signed up for this was because you want to be a booked out brand. You want to be in demand. You want to know what will take your business to the next level. And if you truly want to know that information and you want to have that, it will require that you do something with that information. And so I am going to push you that you actually show up live and do something with that information. Now, I also say that if you do come live both days, you'll be entered into a drawing to win a strategy session live with me. So you'll want to show up. I am going to host it at 7 p.m. CST. And inside this 2-day masterclass, I'm going to be covering what is an in-demand brand, what creates an in-demand brand. And I'm also going to talk about easy AF offers to sell. We're going to talk about how you can make your brand scream authority and not DIY, not I put this together on Canva and I've put minimal effort and I don't show my face and I don't have a personality and I don't show my story. I'll save that for the rest of that for the masterclass. After this, you will never worry about being salesy again because I'm going to immediately nip that in the butt. And then you'll never guess what to post when you're showing up. There will be no question of like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to post. And I'll teach you how to sign dreamy AF clients. So the link is down below. Sign up, 2 days free, next Monday and Tuesday, March 17th and 18th at 7 p.m. CST. Okay, let's get into today's episode about the foundational pieces of a and multi-six figure brand. Now, I know for a lot of people, and this used to be me, that we thought if we build a business, we get an EIN, we get an LLC, we maybe even put together a website, we have an offer to sell, people will come. And then many of us do all that, and it takes time. And you spend, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months putting together your business and deciding your niche and deciding your offers and deciding your pricing and building a website. And then you do all that and you go out and tell people that you have an offer for a week, 2 weeks, and nobody buys it from you. And then in comes the mind drama. In comes I don't know if I can do this. No one's buying from me. I don't know what to do, right? All of that then starts to come into play. And I've seen this a lot with not even just newer entrepreneurs, but some of my women who've transitioned from service provider to coach, right? Or some people who have made money online in a specific way, but then they go to build a brand, they go to build like a high ticket offer. They don't have the audience, they haven't built the audience, they haven't built the community, they haven't built the rapport. And then they're wondering, what the hell just happened? Where are the clients? Right. And we've now learned that that's just simply not what you can do. You can't just build the business and expect people to come. You actually have to be really, really good at marketing and sales. And what I see a lot of time is you're either marketing from a place of it's a checkbox, right? You're like, if I have this hook and I post every single day and I write the caption and I put the hashtags and I sell my offer and I have a call to action, then that should be enough to convert buyers. And then on the flip side of that, I'm doing that consistently. I'm even getting people to my email list. I'm even getting followers. I'm even getting DMs and nobody's buying from me, right? And I see these combinations quite a bit. And it's always a mix of things. And while it is very important to have strategy, and I am such a strategy coach and queen, like I love strategy till the day we die, it also is an energetic issue. And it is both. It is not one or the other. It is 100% both. Now, for some of you, it's more energetic issues. And for some of you, it's more strategy issues, but it is 100% both. And I say this because I know specifically of some people that are in some of my clients that are in authority and they've built a community, they've built an audience, they get DMs, they show their face, they post content, they show up 24/7, and sales still feel hard. It still feels like they're not consistent. You're not in demand yet. Right. And I want to remind you too that it takes time. Like it takes time to build a brand. It takes time for people to know you, like you, trust you, buy from you. And if you're selling something high ticket, you can then also assume it's going to take longer because if they've never sat in your world before, they have no idea what your coaching is like. It's harder now more than ever to sell a high ticket container to people who don't know you, to people who have never experienced your work before. Is it impossible? No. And are there things that you can do so that it doesn't take as long to close the cycle? 100%. And that's what I teach inside my authority program. I teach you how to create content, messaging, and offers that are easier to sell so you can close that buyer cycle a lot faster. But it's always going to be some kind of combination that you are missing, and every single person's combination is different. So when I think about the people that are in my authority program, I can specifically point out whose issue is energetic, whose issue is consistency, whose issue is messaging and marketing, whose issue is like specific strategy, right? Or whose issue is all of the above. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's some people in authority, they're not doing any of it. They're not showing up. They're not posting. They're not building a brand. They're not showing their face. They're not talking to people. They don't have a lead generation strategy. They don't have a messaging strategy, and they're not selling, right? And you cannot expect to post online, AKA marketing, and that magically turns into sales until you hit a certain place, status, if you will, in your brand. And I know people don't want to hear that, but it is the truth. When we follow people in the online industry who have made multi six, seven figures, and you just see their strategy, right? You see that they're just posting, they're showing up, maybe even sometimes they're going live, maybe hosting a couple events a year, if that. But for the most part, they're just showing up. They might even just be posting stories and they're selling out their offers. And you're like, I'm posting, I'm showing up. Why aren't my offers selling? And the reason is because they've built the community, they've built the trust, they've built the authority. And because they have a community that knows them, likes them, trusts them, has probably bought from them, and or is like they're the dreamiest coach on this person's checklist. They're like, one day I will work with this coach. There is tons of people out here who have coaches on their like wish board. I've even had people tell me, like, you are the dream coach that I cannot wait to work with one day. Right? So achieving that level of status, quote unquote, and then being able to just post and make sales is something that you earn. It's not something that you are given. And if you want to earn that status, you have to create a brand. And creating a brand is you. It is your personality. It is who you are. It is your story. It is the way that you connect with people. It is the way that you've demanded attention and authority in your brand and you've created that trust. You've shown them value. You've shown them what you're good at. And you've created this understanding of who you help and how you help them. And so many people think I'm very smart. I have all the certifications. I have all of the knowledge. I have all the degrees, and they're not getting hired over people with better brands because this game, marketing, has nothing to do with how smart you are or how many certifications you have, or even if you know the most about the thing you're teaching. And it has everything to do with the way that you connect with your people, the way that you connect with your audience, the connection, the personality, the story, the value. It is all of those pieces put together. And if you're not giving people a reason to follow because you don't really have a personality, there's no real connection. You're not actually talking to people. It doesn't feel like you know them and they know you and you guys are like the friends, right? There's so many people I'm sure that you follow right now, like maybe bigger brands or creators, and you're like, I feel like we would be friends. Like, I just feel like she gets me. I feel like we have similar personalities. I feel like she just understands. And also, she solves this big major problem that I have, and she knows how to communicate that. She knows how to communicate the personal, the story, the connection that I get you, I see you. And also, she knows how to be in her authority, which is like, I'm the person to hire because I walk the walk. And then also, she's also the person that is showing you the value of what she knows. So many of you are just posting value of what you know, or you're even just posting story and you're not combining those the three, right? You're not combining those. And one of the biggest pieces I see is people who are sharing stories and people who are sharing what they know, their value, but they're not showing their authority. They're not walking the walk. I taught I think it was three clients on this just last week. And they said to me, I don't feel like I can show up because I'm currently in in a shitstorm of life and business. I don't feel like I can show up and show that I'm in this shitstorm and that people are going to actually hire me because they're going to be like, why would I hire her? She's going through the thing she's teaching. And I had to remind them that authority comes from walking the walk and that honest transparency and nothing to do with perfection. One of the coaches is a mom coach. She specifically coaches moms on helping them stop losing their shit. And she was like, but sometimes I still lose my shit. Like I've done this for a long time. I know how, like I have the tools and I've applied them and it's changed my life, but also I still lose my shit. And I was like, that is what people care about. People don't want to learn from the mom who has no idea what it's like to never lose her shit. She doesn't want to learn from the mom who's perfect and put together and always has the right things to say. And her life is perfection and she has no flaws and her hair is always done and her makeup's always done and her background. Like nobody wants to learn from that mom. It is not relatable in any sense. Now, walking the walk is being in the authority of what you know, what you've learned, what your story is, and also that you're still a human. Last year, I cracked the door open very widely on my life, my shitstorm in my business, from the legal stuff to feeling lost to multiple $0 launches after my first ever six-figure launch. And I felt in that moment like I did not know what I was doing. I felt like it was just like everything was just so messy and chaotic. And I was just literally finding my way through last year's shitstorm. And I'm actually so glad that I opened the door and let people in on what was actually happening and stopped pretending like my entire life in business was perfect. I had it all handled. It was all great. It was all gravy, because the reason I'm so glad I did that is because it allowed my clients to see me as a real person, my community to see me as a real person, and also they've got to see me on the other end of it. And I have had client after client after client, and people in my community tell me it has been so amazing to watch the transformation that you have had over the last year, because I know how hard it was for you, because they've actively seen me walk the walk. My life is not perfect. My business is not perfect. I'm not perfect. I am still actively working on growing, on scaling, on all the things that I teach, but I'm also embodying them. I'm also actively doing them. I'm not going to tell you to show up on TikTok for 30 days straight if I'm not going to show up on TikTok 30 days straight, right? I'm telling you as I'm walking the walk. And that's where your authority comes in, is showing people how you've done it, how you're walking the walk, how you're in your authority energy. And also you believe that you're the go-to. I have coached also a lot of clients on believing that they're the go-to. And they say, well, I want to believe it, or I kind of believe it, but I also know there's other people out there doing what I'm doing, or there's other people out there making more money doing what I'm doing. And while I understand that logic, because there's other business coaches out here who are more ahead of me, there's also not a business coach out here who has my story, who has my business, who has my brand, who has my personality, my voice, my tone, plus what I teach and the way that I teach it. It doesn't exist, because my business is built on my brand. My business is not built on my offer. If we're comparing offer to offer, yeah, there's probably a bunch of coaches out here you can learn messaging and content and authority and brand building and story and energy from, but there's not a business out here that has my brand, right? And the reason that people hire me and connect with me and choose to work with me is because of my brand, is because of what I've built in my brand, through my personality, through my story, through the way that I show up, the way that I coach people. That version of me cannot be replicated. It's impossible. Nobody out here owns Breadwinner Energy Company, first of all. Nobody has the mission of my brand with my brand company name, with my face, with my story. Do you see where I'm going here? Like when we build brands around our brand name and the mission behind what we're doing and the vision behind where we're going and the story of how it came to fruition and the story of who you are and why did you create this brand to begin with. I'm going to give you another example. I've been working on my health for the last year, really longer than that. I've been having lots of chronic health issues for years now, but I've been taking it more serious because the chronic stuff has come back. And as I'm out looking for supplements, probiotics, whatever that I'm looking for my gut health and my body, I have been met with 1,000 different brands of probiotics. So it's really easy to get overwhelmed by like, which one should I choose, right? They're all essentially saying that they do the same thing. It's the same product, aka offer, and it has the same outcome, aka program promise. Who am I going to choose? And one night it was late night and I was scrolling and I came across a page of a girl and she was sharing her story of her chronic issues, which I'm also having the same chronic issues, and how she felt exhausted and frustrated and like it was never ending and she just was losing hope, and it just she was tapping into every single thing that I felt and that I'm currently experiencing. And she said, and this is why I built this brand of probiotic with this specific formula to do this specific thing, because of her story and her journey. And I immediately bought. I could probably get a similar product with a similar outcome from a million other brands, but I connected with her through her story and journey because I felt like this is what I'm going through and she gets it. I also liked her personality. I thought she had a great personality. She has a mission and a vision behind what she's offering. And if you don't have that, if you don't have some kind of bigger picture outside of just an offer, that's going to be what holds you back from making sales. I'm going to give you a business example, okay? So for authority in general, like this authority program that I have, the authority program helps you be booked out and in demand. It helps you write better copy and messaging. It helps you step into your CEO energy. It helps you create easy AF offers. It helps you be confident AF. It helps you build a brand and a business where you're in demand because of your energy, because you're magnetic AF, because of the way that you show up specifically. Okay. Why is this important? There's other people out here who can be selling you the same thing. But there's a reason behind why I built this program specifically. Why I built this program specifically is because I've learned over years in my business, this was the number one thing that helped me stand out and become booked out, was building a brand around who I am. But I also know that even over the last year, I had to rebuild this part of my life. I had to rebuild this confidence. I had to rebuild easy AF offers that I believed in. I had to rebuild my CEO energy. I had to re-step into a new level of authority within my own self, within my own identity, and figure out how to show up again as that version of me so that I could grow and scale my business. Now, why does this matter? This matters because this is, in short, this 6-month program is going to be the foundation for big things in your life and your business. This is going to be the transition from you playing small, hiding behind your brand, hiding behind Canva graphics, and from not knowing how to sign clients and feeling really scared to show up, scared to show your face, to building a full-on brand that is scalable to multi-six figures where you never have to fear this again. You never have to fear showing up again. And why is that important? Because that is going to change the rest of your business and brand from here on out. Why do I know that? Because this was me. Last year, I wanted to literally crawl in a hole and die. I did not want to show my face because I was in such frustration of how I had scaled and grown my business to multi six figures, more money than I had ever made, had my first ever 6-figure launch, and then all of it came crashing down. And I felt like I had just gotten everything that I had ever wanted, and it was all just stripped away from me. And I don't want anyone else to experience that. And I also don't want any of you holding yourselves back from your own potential of multi six figures because it is extremely possible for you. It's very possible for you. But so many of you are holding yourself back. You're watering yourself down. You're looking at other coaches who are probably on step like 10 and trying to replicate what they're doing by just showing up and posting and checking it off because that's what they do, and posting even like vibey posts because that's what they do. But that's not you. That's not you at all. That's not even the way you talk. That's not even the way that you are. Like, that's not even your personality. You're trying to replicate their photos and their brand energy and their brand colors and their brand stories. And that's not even who you are. So you're going to build a brand on authenticity, and that might work for a little bit. And then that will fade because that's not who you actually are, and it'll be really hard to keep up with, or you'll change 24/7. You'll be changing and changing and changing because you're trying to figure out who you are because you don't know who you are and you're trying to replicate everyone else that you come across. And then you'll get to this point where it crashes and burns and you hit burnout and you hit, resistance, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I just built up this brand, this business. I just made money and I've lost it all because you didn't build it on who you authentically are, and you didn't build it from your own soul and your own energy. You built it from trying to replicate what everyone else is doing. How do I know? Because that was me. I did that. I was like, what works? Just tell me what works. Just tell me the strategy. Like, I was working with coach after coach. Just tell me what works and I will do it. And I did it, and it made me some money until it didn't because it wasn't authentically me. And now that I'm past that part of my journey, which was like the hardest part of it all, and I now have stepped into like authentically me. I've stepped into leaning into trust and intuition and really following my own self. Not only can I coach my own clients from this place, and I can clearly see when they're not trusting themselves and making their own self-led decisions, or they're making decisions out of fear, or they're making decisions out of an unhealed nervous system, which I can see from a mile away. I can say, hey, look, I can see this, and this is what we need to do to fix it and change it so that you don't end up in this season of life that I just had to go through. And the clients that are in that season of life that I was in last year, I can easily pull them out and guide them through. And so as you're listening to this today, I want you to take inventory of, who do you keep comparing yourself to? Who do you keep trying to replicate? What strategies are you replicating that you actually don't even like? Why don't you like those? Is it because you're hiding and because you don't actually want to show up and show your face and be vulnerable and actually do the work to build a brand which is going to create long-term sustainable wealth for you? Are you being lazy because you're just trying to get to the money and all you're focused on is centering money? Or what is it? What is it for you? Okay, I want you to take some inventory today of what this looks like. I also want you to remember that building a brand is ultimately what will lead you to massive success in your business, not building offers, not building templates, not like throwing out a new offer, a new offer, a new offer, but building the brand, the messaging. Who are you behind the business? That's what people care about. And if you don't like that, I hate to break it to you, but that is where we are in the online business space. People are buying from people, people are buying from brands, people are buying from people they have connections with. And if you don't build that within your business, you're going to have a really hard time making sales consistently and sustainably for a very long time. So I tell you this right now is that if you do want massive success, wealth, a lot of money, first you need to gut check why. Where is it coming from? And what are you willing to do to have it? Because if you're not willing to build a business that is based around you and your business, your brand, your story, your face, you're not willing to show up consistently, you're not willing to get your ass on social media and actually tell people about your brand, and you're trying to do it the most laziest way possible just to make money, you can count yourself out. You can count yourself out because everyone in the online industry has now understood and realized what we want and what we will and won't accept. And people are just not buying from people anymore. They're not buying just to buy offers. They're not buying high ticket just to buy high ticket. People who are buying and buying high ticket and buying from businesses are because they've connected with the brand. Don't forget, sign up next week, March 17th through the 18th. It's my 2-day live masterclass called Booked Out Brand. The link is below. And as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will chat with you on the next episode.